How to get so good at tank, it feels like cheating. I'm a pretty good tank player. I feel like I know a lot that there is to know about tank. Yeah, I'm a little bit low rated on tank, but that's because I don't like 5v5 tanking, so I choose to not play 5v5 tank as much as possible. I'll guess I'll see whether I agree with this guy or not on most of his stuff.
You've clicked onto this video because it is currently 2:17 AM. You've just
Nope,
had the
it's not
worst session of
2:17.
all time, and you've just gone
And actually, it's
triple
PM.
tank. You want to learn how to actually get good at tank, and I'm going to teach you that today. If you enjoyed any of the gameplay you see here today, and my painfully unfunny humor, please make sure to follow me live
Let's
on
see
Twitch.
how right
Also, if
this
you haven't
guy
seen my
gets
other
it.
videos, I have managed to hit top 500 on all roles, multiple seasons.
All right.
So hopefully this is coming from a good place. And now we get into the video.
All roles
Now,
top
before we get
500.
into it, I'm going to just say that I'm going to do a separate video on making space. A whole video dedicated on making space. That will be coming soon.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
That's something a lot of tank players already don't know how to do. So yeah, that's a good guy. Probably a good idea to make a whole separate video on making space or taking space.
But today we're going to start off with our first point, which is damage. Your job isn't damage, it's space. Space, space, space.
Yeah.
This is the first thing we need to fix immediately. The numbers lied to you on this role. A tank doing 10k damage but never creating pressure is completely useless, by the way. A tank doing 3000 damage but forces the enemy to back up constantly will win the game. It's space control. Now you're probably wondering what exactly is space if you're new to hero shooters. Allowing space for your team allows your team to move forward, and it controls where the enemy team is scared to stand, and it allows your supports and your DPS to have a lot more freedom. If the enemy Widowmaker is freely standing on high ground uncontested, that is a space problem. If you're contesting her on Winston, you're doing your job. If your supports are constantly getting dove, that is also a space problem. Your presence should make the enemy team constantly ask, can we actually stand here safely? If the answer is yes, you're not pressuring them enough. So this leads me into our second point, which is you need to stop frontlining like a complete bot. This is the most common tank.
Yeah, he said it's the most common. I agree with that 100%. A lot of who pushes cart and a lot of who stays on main lane is kind of map dependent and dependent on who your team picks. But I see a lot of scenarios where tanks who are just very clueless just sit there and push cart instead of like pushing up. And sometimes it kind of sucks because even if you do push up, a lot of your teammates will not follow up with you. Everybody will stay on cart and be like, oh, we're supposed to stay on payload or we're supposed to stay on point. And it kind of is infuriating. That does happen in low elo a lot. So, yeah, it is a very common mistake.
Players think that tank means standing in front of the enemy team and absorbing damage. This is not Marvel Rivals. You cannot do that in this game. It's completely outdated. Tanks rotate pressure and they don't just stand there. So let me just explain that.
I wouldn't say it's outdated. I just say it isn't the method on this game mode. 5v5 is pretty much a series of 1v1s happening, and a bunch of the 1v1, it makes it easier if you're on an off angle to pressure somebody into a bad scenario for your team to take advantage of. Like, for instance, if you want to win this point right here where they're pushing the cart, if somebody on the enemy team goes to the high ground, the Hog and their team have to contest that high ground right here on the top left where the window is. Or even where the little alley is up here.
A bad tank would...
Okay, well, it's not going to show, but up on the high ground, whoever controls that left area of the map, I feel like more often than not wins this point easier than the other team.
Take damage and hope that the supports heal you.
Like, for instance, if there's a Kree up here shooting him, or let's say there's an Ashe right here in this hallway, it's a lot harder for their team to push up, but as you can see, none of them are doing that. So this is like free space that they can take up.
Tank will take an angle. They'll try and force cooldowns. They'll rotate
See, look,
together.
they're all just standing on main, and they're wondering why they're getting picked off or why they're pushing up easily. A lot of playing against tank or playing as a tank is seeing what their team is standing and whether you can actually push up or not. Since they're not standing on the high ground or in that long hallway, he's able to push up freely.
An advantage. You should constantly be thinking, where is the next safe pressure point? Instead of, where can I stand and get healed? That leads us directly into my next point, which is my personal 5-second rule. Every fight has about a 5-second window where something important happens. A cooldown gets used, positioning mistakes happen, ults start getting used. Your job as a tank is to identify that moment and commit. If you wait too long, you're going to lose the tempo. And I'm going to give you an example. The enemy Ana throws a sleep and a nade. That's literally it. That's your signal. She's used all of her cooldowns, which are on a 10+ second cooldown.
Yeah.
And you push immediately. Because now the enemy team has less defensive tools, and this is why good tanks look aggressive. They're not just random bullshit. They're reacting to cooldown windows. Now,
yeah, a lot of tanking is very information based, but it really depends. Like again, the thing about Overwatch is everything is contextualized. Everything is a context. Yeah, usually it's a good idea to push in as a tank. If Ana does not have Sleep and Anti, those are like two of the most powerful abilities in the game. But the issue is now you gotta be like, okay. If it's Ana and let's say it's Ana and Xin, you could probably get away with pushing her and actually going in the backline and killing her. Let's say if you're Winston, right? But the second they have a Kiri or a Brig, not so easy, because now she's got a bodyguard. They're protecting her. If you're in high elo, it's very likely that they're gonna peel for their Ana. If they're in low elo, not so likely. Something you could take advantage of, definitely. But everything in Overwatch is very contextual based. So yes, is he right? You should probably be pushing up when Ana uses a Sleep Dart or Anti. Yes, you should definitely be able to. You should definitely be looking to cause pressure as a tank, not even as a tank. As a DPS and support, that's probably for you to call out because you're in the front line. You can see everything that's happening. But it's not always a guarantee that that you'll be able to do anything from it. At most, they'll back up, which is still a good thing. But you're not likely to always get the kill, depending on the context.
Enough about pressure. I want to talk about the tank triangle. Every tank fits into one of the three playstyles.
Poke,
Understand
brawl,
that this makes
dive.
hero swaps a lot easier as well. Your first set, which are dive tanks, Winston, D.Va,
Yeah.
Wrecking Ball, Hazard. Your goal as a dive tank is to disrupt the backline. You need to force cooldowns, so important stuff can happen, and create chaos and create space. You don't stay long, you just jump in and force a panic. Your next set would be
that's
all
about
tanks. Reinhardt, Junker Queen, Ramatcha, characters that are basically close range and melee only, basically. Now, your goal is to close distance. You want to take direct fights, and I want you to overpower space. These characters, because they're so hard to contest up front if you're not brawling yourself, they can take so much space. If you're half pushing while you're brawling, you're gonna get smoked, so don't attempt this. And lastly, your poke tanks, like Sigma or Orisa. And because poke is so strong right now, Sig is your greatest.
Sigma is really strong right now.
But your goal with poke is to control
prolong the
angles.
fight.
If an enemy
It's to prolong
is
the
trying
fight
to
as much
off-angle,
as
you can poke them
possible.
out of it. You want to deny enemy pushes because they're going to be too weak to get round to your backline or a dive. You manage to get a nice rock in across the map. Maybe that will force a lamp, which will allow your team to move as well. Poke tank wins fights by outlasting, basically. It's slow tempo. The biggest mistake players make is playing the wrong style on the wrong tank. For example, a defensive Winston will lose games. A hyper-aggressive Sig will lose games. Your tank pick determines how the team fight should happen. Now, going back to our problem about healing, and that how healing are... basically, the biggest burst character in the game is Bap, and he's not even a lot. This leads me on to corners. Corners and cover is your best friend.
Yep, 100%. Play angles, play walls, anything to mitigate the damage so that your BAP can actually do damage instead of just sit there and heal you.
I'm serious. Corners are literally broken. Nerf them. Nerf corners right now. When you stand in the open, like which other people might think is the option as a tank, the enemy has full LOS on you, line of sight. You're going to take the maximum damage, and supports have to panic kill you. When you use corners and play natural cover, you control when the damage happens. You'll break enemy sightlines, so they have to look at someone else, and you reset fights safely. A good tank will peak damage, and a horrible tank will tank damage. It's a massive difference. Remember, this is not Marvel Rivals. You cannot get 1,000 heals per second. Now, talking about kills, another massive tank trap is chasing kills. So, for example, you win a fight. There's an enemy player who runs away with like 10 HP, and your brain says, I need to kill this guy right now. So you chase, and then suddenly, your supports are alone, the enemy respawns, you get antied, you get slept, and then the fight flips. You just threw a one fight. Tanks should almost never be the one chasing kills unless they are weak and you can reposition back to your team.
You can chase kills. This is one of the points I'm going to have to disagree with. You can definitely chase kills as tank. The issue is you should be looking behind you to see if anybody's following up with you. If nobody's following up with you, you're very likely to die. In that scenario, you don't chase. Like I said, it's very contextual based Overwatch. It's a strategy game. You can chase kills as tank. I highly disagree with this. The issue is anybody following up with you? Is anybody behind you? Or is everybody randomly standing on point? Or are they trying to set up for next fight, taking different angles? So I'm gonna have to disagree with this in the context that you shouldn't chase kills. You can. You just need to check if people are behind you.
Very quickly. You need to hold the space that you've won and let your DPS clean up. And if your DPS don't clean up, then just Alt F4. Now, this is the one people are probably expecting from this video, and that is to protect your supports. Without...
Another thing that I think is way too contextualized based. Like, for instance, if there's a Winston diving in the back and I'm playing Sigma and I'm holding this corner right here and they dive in the back, I'm not going to go chase the Winston. I'd rather just sit here and make sure that their backline doesn't get any values, not helping their Winston, than to sit there and chase the... Like, I'm just going to have to hope that my DPS and my supports all look at each other and all are trying to fight that Winston. So that I can either do something or that they can kill the Winston and then help me once they have reset themselves and come to my aid.
Babysitting. One of the hardest tank skills is to support protection. And here's the trick. You don't protect your supports by standing next to them like some disgusting piss-slow bot. You protect your supports by removing the pressure. For example, if an enemy Genji is diving your Ana, a bad tank response would be to walk back slowly.
Okay. I thought he was going to say go back. I was about to say I completely disagree with this take. But it looks like we were on the same side.
Would to be threatening the Genji's escape, because without his cooldowns, he's fucked. If the Genji knows that diving an Ana means he dies afterwards, he will stop diving. Be aware who's diving your backline and try and peel as best as possible. Try and peel as best as possible.
You got it.
Now, the last point I want to talk about today is when to swap tanks. This is the most important rule of all time. Tank swaps.
I don't care what anybody says. I refuse to swap as a tank if it's just a tank swap. If the tank swaps and he's trying to counterpick you as a tank, it's very map-based, and it's also if you got the experience to pull it off or not. For instance, all right, the most obvious one is Zarya D.Va. Now, Zarya D.Va on a flat map, let's say like on a very flat map, where there's not too much high ground, D.Va's more likely to win the fight. But give D.Va some high ground and D.Va begins to win the fight instead of Zarya. In the sense that you can pull off a counter swap if you got the experience. I'm talking about stuff like Rein versus Sigma. While it's in the favor of Rein if he gets aggro enough to get within your zone, you can still win that fight as Sigma. So it really is team, map, and experience dependent. Now, if everybody on the enemy team is counter swapping you, let's say you're fucking Winston, they go Roadhog. Roadhog is a very good easy tank buster. Like he's good at the tank 1v1s, right? And then you're winning that. Then all of a sudden they decide to go something like Zenyatta. All right, you're still winning somehow. And then they decide to go Kree and Bastion. You might be fucked. You might have to swap. At that point, you're better off swapping, even if you have 99% to your ult, because it's just you're putting in way too much effort to pull off something that you're never going to pull off because, well, they've all swapped you at that point. In that scenario, I would say it's a good idea to swap. But if it's like one or two people, even if it's a tank, it's not generally always necessary to swap.
Are way more impactful than DPS swaps, but people swap for the wrong reasons. You don't need to swap because you died once, but you need to swap when one of these things happen to you. If the enemy comp hard counters you, you have to switch.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry,
have to.
but one
You're literally going to lose.
If you're one trick, avoid me now. The map geometry favors another tank. For example, if it's a dive heavy game,
see, look, I might not play tank because I just think it's fucking sufferable role in 5v5. But I know what I'm talking about. Yo, I just got the knowledge. It is what it is.
Or dive heavy map like Icon Ward and you're on Reinhardt, just go next.
Yeah,
please.
GG.
And if your team comp needs a different playstyle, if you have 4 pokers, Bap, Ana, Ashe, Sojourn, and you're solo brawling or solo diving, you might probably just want to go Sig and poke with them. The tank synergy of your team comp...
like I said, it depends. Like, if I don't agree with that. If you're, like, on escort and you have to push the payload, I would not want my poke supports or poke DPS to stand on point. I'd rather have a brawl/hybrid tank that has brawl capabilities to take hold of point instead of the supports or the DPS because they're poke. Most likely they don't have most likely they won't have a way to get out if there's a diver. Like what happens if they're playing a dive comp and then like that's why I'm saying Overwatch is so contextual based.
It is massively underrated. So if you take anything away from this video, which you probably won't because you have an attention span of a TikTok kid and you're probably doom scrolling.
I'm watching. Hey, don't say that. That's me.
I want you to remember these 5 things. Tank is about space, not damage. If you play corners, you'll find yourself more healthy to live more and to fight more. You need to push when cooldowns are missing. Do not chase kills after fights. unless they're weak and you can reposition back to your team. And be decisive with engagements. If you start thinking about this, you'll notice something crazy. Your teammates start to play better too, because when your tank is controlling the whole game, they have more pressure to do more. A good tank...
Lies! Lies! I hear lies. This is haram. Listen to me. Yo, just because you do good does not mean you win. Never listen to these guys that say this. If you're a tank player and you actually do good at it as a tank, it's not guaranteed. Even if you definitely the other tank, it's not guaranteed you win. If you do bad on as tank, you're guaranteed to lose. It's crazy how that works, but that is generally how it works. It's just how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles, yo.
Tank makes the entire team stronger. Anyway, that's
no, it doesn't. Your team can still flop.
I'm going to work on a separate space video probably in the next couple of days, so make sure you subscribe for that one. If you're watching this, if you're finishing this right now, I'm live on Twitch right now, so come over and give me a kiss. And if you enjoyed the video, I'm giving free head to everyone.
Kissy kiss.
And yeah, love you.
All right, good video. I think we pretty much. Well, I thought we disagreed on some stuff. I was just guessing what he was gonna say before he brought up the topics, like of the discussion points. I think we pretty much agree on everything. Look, I said it. I know how the game works. Yo, I have the knowledge of the game. I just don't play because I need to quit my job so I can get better. I just need to quit my job. That's what I'm going to do. My job is holding me back.